Welcome back, and thank you very much indeed for joining us here on TV3 New Day. This is a big issue segment. It's brought to you by Nish. Now, I have a question for you. What is the exciting, delicious, creamy, enriched with vitamins, minerals, and has the goodness of cocoa all at the same time? Can you get what this is? Well, I tell you, it's the new, brand new Nish chocolate drink made with Ghana's finest wholesome cocoa. Nish chocolate is full of delicious goodness. Nish chocolate drink comes in 250 milliliter bottles. That's this in 180 milliliter Tetra packs, so you can enjoy it big or small. It's great for all members of the family. Visit a shop near you to get yours, and I know you would love it. Nish, Taste of Ghana. And a belated happy birthday to the Reverend Canon Leon Akwe. Reverend Canon Leon Adungmai Akwe. Uncle Pa, we call you. It was your birthday yesterday, 60 years. Happy birthday to you, Canon. Also, a happy birthday to you, Mrs. Benis Boatin, CEO of Chevin Clothing. This from Stella Hannah Okutu. It's your birthday today. Thanks to Grant Power Clothing for my outfit this morning. 020-985-5696. That's 020-985-5696. The Daily Graphic this morning says National Service Teacher Training Program starts in September. Dasebre Kweku Boating sworn in as new job in Hene. Industrialization drive. 67 business resource centers have been built, 37 in operation, according to Trades Minister Alan Kojo Tramanting. Reduce fuel prices to lower cost of food. Traders to government, and government considers regularizing built-up areas in CSR lands, according to the lands minister. Daybreak says Agona East NDC Pokwa Ulster pops up. Party Guru fingered. Okay, Davi Amba is number one. She wants to be MPP chairperson. And also CPC MD Masco, angry staff demand. Nana Ejenim Boating, the first is the MD of Cocoa Processing Company in Tema. Bomia speaks on fourth industrial revolution. The Daily Statement is next. It says, set up loan scheme for MSMEs. Alan urges the Bank of Ghana and the Finance Ministry. I thought that was what the EU Start was supposed to achieve. Court stops night demo, and David Nkabonam urges dissent campaigning in the MPP. Government to regularize properties of CSIR land encroachers. Ken Oforiatta, more investment in education needed in Africa. The Meridian says exclusive reshuffle imminent. Ambrose Derry is our Interior Minister. Cecilia Dapa is Sanitation Minister, also Caretaker Minister for the absent Adjoa Safo's ministry, that's the Gender Ministry. Also, Minister of Defense, Dominic Nitiwol is there, and Adjoa Safo, Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection. E-levy, government fails to meet revenue target. TC demands 20% cost of living allowance for public sector workers. NPA engages petroleum consumers in the Upper East region. The Anchor, you will vomit all stolen monies. Ajanasari curses looting leaders. Weeds take over major roads in Accra. As urban roads, highway officials drink tea and coffee. Well, you can actually hide in those bushes in the median if you are being pursued. Accra Circuit Court stinks as water lights go off for a week. Yes, the court doesn't have light, yet they're running an electronic court. Takwa MP commissions health facility to expand access to healthcare. No night demo today, High Court has ruled. The Finder newspaper, no night demonstration, court tells Arise Ghana. GRA builds ultramodern headquarters to save 4 million Ghana cedis annual rent. Dr. Bomia rallies African government to invest in educational reforms, and poorly targeted subsidies amid crisis prolong effects of inflation, according to Jeff Cabell. Workers need 20% COLA urgently, while Council of State is cutting their allowances by 20%, government officials by 30%, workers are asking for 20% more. Proposed hikes in utility tariffs should be suspended, according to the TUC. Access Bank leads conversation on payment or future payments. The Daily Guide, NDC in night demo drama with police. African ministers draw new education plan. NPP OK's candidates for elections. And also E-levy failing to deliver. Gabio Tridako is there. Finally, the Ghanaian Times. Let's focus on TVET. Veep tells West Central Africa government. Also, Trade Minister advocates loan guarantee system our scheme for MSMEs and avoid monkeypox by adhering to COVID-19 safety protocol. Dr. Sasu, 8 cores in court for defaulting 1.7 billion Ghana cedis net workers' contribution. My guest this morning, Mr. Palgrave Boache Dankwa. He is a spokesperson on behalf of government in the area of governance and security. And also, Comrade Murtala Mohammed, as he likes to be called, is the Member of Parliament for Tamale Central. He is also a former Deputy Trades Minister. Maybe I should say patriot.
Good morning, Johnny.
What again?
He's one of those who chop.
Okay. Do you have evidence to show?
But everybody in this government chop except myself and you.
Margaret is not chopping.
Oh, really?
We are here to serve the good people
Margaret
of the country.
is just committed. It's not chopping.
Really?
We are serving Ghana.
Look, but do you agree with him?
That we are serving Ghana.
No, he said you are not chopping. I just want to, yes or no.
Why do you want to put him on?
It means that he's chopping.
Won't you eat when you leave here?
No, but see, when you eat small, let your brother or your sister also eat. Unfortunately, these people, they are grabbing it. They are even munching the food. That's what people are demonstrating today.
I hear you. Palgrave, how are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. It's good to be here, and a very good morning to your viewers and listeners. I believe that globally it's a very difficult time, and obviously it's a very difficult time for Ghanaians as well. It's good that people are able to exercise their democratic rights by hitting the streets in a civil manner.
Right.
And as governments, we wish the Arise Ghana team the best, that they go according to the rules and regulations of the country. And the outfalls of the demonstration obviously would come to government for government to adequately peruse and respond. But every government is elected to solve people's challenges and rise up to the occasion when tough times happen. And I believe very well that the President, Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, would continually once again rise up to tough situations as he has in years past.
The difficulty is that he has never risen to any tough challenges. Don't blame it on global economic challenges. Blame it on the recklessness of your government, the unnecessary expenditure, the unabated borrowing, that you have the Minister for Finance and another Minister of State who have made over $200 million from monies that we have borrowed. Don't blame it on Ghanaians. Blame it on the disjointed policies that you formulated without even involving anybody except the family of the president for the purposes of implementation. So when it comes to the challenges confronting us now, you want to blame the globe, you want to blame other countries, blame the kinds of policies we have had.
But there were technocrats involved in the formulation of those policies.
Technocrats listen to every policy is formulated based on the vision of the ruling class.
Right.
And let's get something very clear. If this government had listened to technocrats, I don't think that would have been where we are. In the matter of E-levy, you had almost everybody, every technical person spoke against it, including ISE, which is not an NDC wing, including, Imani, including experts who they brought to take us through government's own policy decision when we had the post-budget review. They never listened to any of them. Tell me one single policy that this government listened to the so-called technocrats. It is about satisfying the uncontrollable ego of the ruling class. And for which reason, we are where we are. So please don't blame it on the world. Blame it on the recklessness. Why is it that our neighbors within the sub-region are not going through what we are going through? Did COVID leave them? They suffered the consequences of COVID than us. We borrowed more than they borrowed. Why is it that we are struggling? It is only under this circumstance that we are compared to America.
Said good morning to you.
Yes, and when we said good morning to him, he brought in something. And so when he said good morning to me, I need to also bring something.
This is how you respond to good morning. I don't know what you say to my question if I put it to
If he had said good morning, that would have been fine. But he didn't stop there.
He was wishing them well.
And I'm also reminding him and reminding your viewing public that we are where we are because of what they created. Good morning to you, Johnny, and good morning to my good friend. To be very honest, you rarely find his type within the NPP. I mean, he is sometimes barely objective, except when he wants to do the propaganda. And good morning to the good people of Tamale Central, Look, interestingly, I was with him on a different program on
Saturday.
On Saturday.
Maghrib is good.
Yes, he is, and I'm with him today. I know his party sometimes may be unhappy with him because they expect all their communicators to sink into the filthy mud of propaganda to defend the indefensible. But he tends to be a bit sometimes objective, and you rarely find such people within the MPP. So I don't know where they got him.
So you like him?
Well, I like him. He's my friend, to be very honest. Even though I disagree with some of his positions, but I like him, to tell you the truth.
Right. Okay.
I like you too, sir.
I hope so.
Join us with your thoughts and comments here on TV3 New Day, and make sure that you're sending us what's on your mind this morning. Our Twitter handle is available at TV3 Ghana, and the hashtag is TV3 New Day. Join us now. Ogre, let me begin this conversation with you. Arise Ghana, has it become necessary? Arise Ghana, has it become necessary at this point?
Well, Johnny, thank you. I think that yes, clearly, it's become important that collectively the Ghanaian people assist in various challenges that we are all involved in. I remember very well growing up, there was a typical Ghanaian proverb that stated that if you have a broom and you take a single stick, it's very easy for you to break that stick.
That's right.
But when you put that stick together, it's very difficult to break that. And the people who lived in Zulu, especially the South Africans, they have a proverb as well that says that Ubuntu, Uguntu, Ugabantu, which is to mean you are who you are because of other people. You don't exist as an island. So clearly, the issues that are facing the country and even facing government, it's important that we have a collective responsibility of addressing those issues. I think that there are about 6 issues that the Arise Ghana demonstrators seek to look into, and I'll just quickly go through it just so that your viewers can have a bit of some clarity.
We actually discussed it this morning as well. So
Good.
But you can rehash them. If
yes, let me just quickly to rehash them. So I mean, one of them clearly was the fact that they were looking into the E-levy that had been passed, and the fact that we were not able to rake in the amount of money that we estimated to rake in, especially as we were very confident that we'll be able to rake in that amount of money. I believe very well, still believe that the E-levy policy is a very good policy. The rationale behind it is to ensure that we open up the tax bracket. A country of about 30.8 million people, having just about 8% of the population, culminating to about 2.34 million people paying taxes. I believe that it's a concern for any leader who seeks to develop the country. And so the conversation around the electronic levy sought to expand the tax bracket by bringing the formal and the informal sector and really propel our development. Over the years, it's been very challenging for people to pay their taxes. I mean, even within the bracket of those that have even registered with the Ghana Revenue Authority and other agencies that are required to take their taxes, it's very difficult for people to pay. So I can appreciate persons that have not been a part of the E-levy taxation, which is not a problem. I believe that it will take some time more for the Ghanaian people to catch on. I mean, earlier on, you are aware that the percentage was about 1.75, having held conversations with both minority and majority, and even listening to the Ghanaian people through the town hall meetings, we reduced it to about 1.5%.
But he said that reduce it further to 1%.
I agree.
And you know, the town hall meetings were only in 6 regions instead of 16.
I agree. So, I mean, the town hall meetings, like I stated the last time I was on your program, they were helps. I mean, we needed to pick up these 6 regions where we had our town hall meetings and allow the rest of the 10 to come on board to augment the conversation and elevate it to a higher level. I think that their second one really was also on the demand for a full-scale and bipartisan parliamentary probe into the COVID-19 expenditure. The Minister for Finance, the Honorable Ken Oforiatta, was in Parliament to respond to close to about 16 questions. And my very good brother and friend, the Honorable Mutala, also did ask a question, which he got an answer to. I'm sure that he would bring some more clarity to it as well. 16 questions. The COVID-19
The 16 questions were occasioned by the delays by the finance minister.
Well, I do not
All
want
the 16 questions were not filed on one day.
I agree. I do not want to agree entirely that there were delays. You know, the finance ministry, juxtaposed in terms of what they are supposed to do, is to rake in revenue and also look into ways of disbursing those revenues to the various sectors of the economy. Rightly so, when you disburse revenue to various sectors of the economy, you need to wait a bit more for feedback in terms of how much people have expended. And then also there are internal mechanisms of internal audit and external audit that will be able to come to play. So sometimes when in the processes of governance, there appears to be some delayance. It's not intentional or on purpose for one to be able to do that. I think we should be able to put that in context. But clearly, he did come to Parliament to give a response. And I mean, those documents are
That was after the Speaker had threatened that going for it, if he doesn't come to respond,
I
all
agree.
his businesses will not be dealt with in Parliament.
But
Did they have to get there?
I don't think it had to get there, but I think that, like I stated, it takes time for in the processes of governance. It really does take time for feedback to go through. I mean, you've disbursed money to various ministries to use for implementation, and I've stated that as government at the very highest level, you're a policy maker,
Right.
but there are policy implementators, and the policy implementators are the MMDAs and the various district and municipal assemblies, and then all of us as citizens are the policy takers. So, I mean, having gone through all of that, told us that we raised about 19.3 billion Ghana cedis and expended close to about 12 billion Ghana cedis. Also realizing that in the midst of the COVID pandemic, we had shortfalls in revenue. And so the mathematics does work out in terms of the differentials and what it was used for. The other issue as well that the Arise Ghana team is looking at is the issue on protecting and grabbing state lands and officials and all of that. They brought in Achimota Forest. I think that I've been extremely impressed, to be honest, with the Honorable Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, especially with his level of assertiveness and leadership. When the issue of the forestry came up, I think that he was very prompt to be able to do a press conference, which I participated. I think that brought a lot more clarity to the Ghanaian people that at a time in 1876, Ghana, the then Gold Coast, went to the family, the Owu family, to request for some portions of land to use for the forest reserve as it is. And then in 1927, there were some further conversations. And then it came on to be able to come into even our contest of the Fourth Republic with President John Ajokum Kufuor, President Ivan Sata Mills, may so rest in peace, former President John Dramani Mahama, now President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo. So the conversations has really been very enlightening. And then the bigger boom was when Sir John's will came into the conversation. I think it's a great apology, to be honest. And I've stated very clearly on a record that at some times and at some levels, you really need to be careful how you process through things, because in the entire scheme of humanity, and the Muslims have given us a very good example when sadly they lose any of their members. I mean, they are quickly buried in a very humble manner. The manner in which you came here on earth is the same manner in which you go. And being a clerical priest and having an opportunity of dedicating babies and laying people to rest, I've not seen in anywhere around this world where anybody has been buried with any of the things that they have amassed. And so at some times in my closest, I feel that there's some high level of greed, which may not be helpful for our country and our development. And so the issue of Sir John's will came up. The minister has stated that that portions of land as it is, if it so belongs to the country, it's not going to go to the said persons that has been willed to.
It's void.
It's void.
But there's EI 144, which is the big question that the Arise Ghana guys are looking at. Like, you are labeling some portions in the will, captured in the will, and in other places that we may not be aware to other persons as being void, that nobody owns land there. But they are also alleging that development is ongoing in the forest. That's one. And number two, EI 144 seeks to endorse ownership of land in those places. How do we reconcile the two?
So the Achimota Forest, as we so know it today, we've stated categorically as a government that the Achimota Forest, as we so know it today, is going to remain the Achimota Forest. Now, at the time when the lands were secured, I mean, we named it the Achimota Forest. And so even with the development of the Achimota School, the people that went to Achimota who are chorus, our own Achimota Hospital is all on the land reserve of the Achimota Forest, GIMPA,
Right.
which has become one of the best professional and management institutions in the country, trained up many professionals in public places, as well as on the land of the Achimota Forest Reserve. The Forestry Commission itself is also on the land for the Achimota Forestry Reserve. When we needed to ensure that we expand the N1 from Akramo all the way to Malam, the George Walker Bush Highway, it's also within the environment of the Achimota Forest. There's a hotel not too far away as well.
Right.
They have some very beautiful pie. I think that's the only surviving part of the hotel. Many people go there and have some nice pie. Also, it's on the land of the Achimota Reserve. So really, if you look at it, the development has caught up, for which reason the Owu family feels that the purposes and the intent for which the government, the then Gold Coast, desired to have an ecological site has a big change, for which reason every now and then they are asking for lands. The reason why, as a government, we don't want to see this continue is the reason why we've been able to declassify so that going forward, other leaders that would come will not be having those challenges. The next points that they raised were police.
Right.
They did raise the fact that they had a bit more of a lack of integrity on the police and the killings and all of that. Now, I've condemned certain acts of the police.
Right, I remember.
I've condemned it very well because clearly with the issue that happened in Kumasi, the Islamic girls' school, it was a bit uncalled for, to be honest. And I think that at some stages when we condemn bad acts of policing, we also need to commend as well. And I believe very well that the IGP continually would immediately act on such issues. We were here when he was in Kumasi to excuse the rest of the authorities, including the regional director, and told them to take some leave off. I've stated that every time there are issues in policing or even with services, uniformed persons, it's important that we hold the conversations dispassionately. Because if we are not careful, we'll set up a model for which reason years to come, many people would denigrate uniformed persons. But we still uphold them with the highest level of integrity, from the Ghana Armed Forces to the Ghana Police to the Ghana Immigrations to the Fire Service and to the Customs. We uphold them with the highest level of integrity. We agree as well that there are some bad practices that does not augur well to the code of ethics and standards that they saw to. So in terms of policing, the country continually needs to have trust in them. Investigations that are done as well, if the persons are found culpable, they should strip them off.
But
and allow them to go.
the IGP keeps visiting these places. He went to Ejura, he went to Nkranza, and each time he goes there, cameras follow him, he makes statement. But then just before you defrost from that ice, another thing is happening. I mean, why would the police go into a secondary school, harmless students, 17, 18, 19, 16, and start firing live ammunition? You are a security person. Why would the police do that?
Well, I think that was very unfortunate. Very, very unfortunate. And it was uncalled for, to be honest. We need to protect lives. And the real reason why the military is not deployed on demonstrations is that military personnel are not trained in the manner of protection. They are for civil combat.
That's right.
When you see the military, it's purely combat. But if you see the police, I mean, in the very, very olden days, it's rubber bullets and all of those, and tear gas and water cannons and all of that. But we need to call it out that it's unfortunate. And I believe that the police has also clearly stated that it's quite an unfortunate act. The IGP's response was quite prompt for us as a country and even as a government, and we commend his actions. I think that these are number issues that the people that are agitating this morning are wanting to
Talk about fuel as well.
Well, fuel, I think that as a country, we are not isolated from issues that are happening around the globe. I'm aware that we placed in a bit more measures, as you stated earlier on, the government measures that we put in place to mitigate the growing challenges, the percentage of cuts of expenditure and all of that. In fuel, yes, I mean, it's global pricing, but our government is looking into it to be able to see how we can mitigate the challenges. I buy fuel, and it's very difficult for everyone. I mean, persons who use bigger vehicles also, their cost has gone high, but their salaries have not increased. So at various stages, you need to start remodeling a new level of living so that you can be able to meet up to the daily challenges. But as a government, I believe very well that all these teething challenges really is the reason why we are empowered to be able to assist and serve the good people of the country.
You have only 2 years left.
Well, yes, we do have 2 years left. We've done an effective 6 years. Yes. I mean, we've had challenges. We've had challenges in those 6 years.
They wouldn't have been on the streets if you.
Oh, I think that
effective.
I think that it's not a challenge. It's not a challenge for persons to agitate. People have various means of agitating. For me, if I have a challenge, I would rather that we sit around the table and hold a conversation. Other persons would not want to agitate in that manner. I mean, Salom Dramani was at Obra Sports this morning at about 6 o'clock. When I got into town around 4:30 a.m.,
he was already there.
He was already there with his lantern, wanting to see the achievements of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. It's not a problem. I think that the achievements of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, as we know, will be foretold by many Ghanaians in the years to come. All 16 flagship programs that we have implemented are foundations for the country's development. And I think that we need to be
My final question to you, do you get a sense that the police are trying to block Arise Ghana just like they did to fix the country in many different fronts? Because the police is in court, literally.
It would be very difficult for me to come to terms to believe that the police would want to block some well-meaning young people who want to express their views. It would be a greater concern to me. And I do not think that the police wants to do that. I think that the earlier responses, as we have seen, and is really with issues that are happening within our environment, that we as security personnel are picking huge intelligence. We are aware that even this week, I'm sure that the news would come out later on along the week. I picked up signals of some attacks in Benin. This week, I mean, as at yesterday, I was picking up some signals in Benin, and issues are happening all around Togo, Nigeria, Burkina Faso, Ivory Coast. The threats of terrorism is extremely high, for which reason our country has lifted up these 4 P's of preventing, preempting, protecting, and responding in the launch of the Citizen Awareness Campaign with the National Security Debt. So if you look at these issues and even look at the fact that there are constellation of coup d'etats that have risen up in Mali, Niger, and a number of countries, Guinea, clearly you could see that if persons want to agitate and want to do a demonstration from 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. and even picket at the Jubilee House, it's a bit of a concern. And I did have a concern with that. I'm glad that the Abieta, which we know, the 1992 Constitution, is always subject to the review of the lawyers and the judges. And the High Court has ruled that they should do their demonstration from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Okay. And I know that as we speak, many people are gathering. I'm sure you may pick a live feed whilst we are on site here.
Right. Comrade, I saw you writing.
Well,
is Arise Ghana necessary now?
At a point, I even had to stop writing because
Why?
I was writing just too many. First and foremost, the Constitution allows anybody to exercise his right to demonstrate as a means of making his grievances heard and possibly finding solutions to those grievances by those who are given the mandate to govern. And it is supported by Article 21, Clause 1D of the 1992 Constitution. And people who are embarking on such demonstration are guided by one, the Constitution and the Public Order Act. We had some challenges getting to this demonstration between those who engage in the demonstration and the police. I've heard people who have said that it's an NDC demonstration.
Right.
Let me be very clear. It wasn't organized by NDC. NDC as a political party and its members are only participants in the demonstration. In any case, even if it is an NDC demonstration, are NDC people not Ghanaians? But the issue is that NDC and many other people who are not associated with NDC in any way or form have declared their support for this. My good friend, Samson Ladia Yenemi, indeed publicly declared his support for the demonstration. Bernard Avle publicly declared his support for the demonstration. Dr. Andiabe publicly declared his support for this demonstration. And I've heard many people who have declared their support for the demonstration. I listened to one gentleman, in fact, in Bernard Blair's program, a gentleman sent a text and said that he has never participated in any demonstration whatsoever, but he works with a private entity and that their boss came and gave them holiday to go and join the demonstration. Because every single person is feeling the pinch of the mess that is created by President.
I hear his reason was, the reasons he gave his boss was that they suffer, they suffer, Ghana, they suffer.
The only people who are not suffering are those at the four walls of the Flagstaff House.
They told you.
And I can understand. I have told him, I said that my brother and my good friend Nana Fredu are the only members of the Nanado's family who are not enjoying. Any other member within the family is enjoying. You are the only member of the family, perhaps, who is not enjoying. Maybe you are not telling us the truth. So it is very clear that people are going through a lot of challenges, and they use one of the means supported by the Constitution, by the democracy we have all agreed to charter as citizens or as people to embark on this demonstration. So let me.
Are you not mounting undue pressure on the government when the government is explaining to you that, look, it's a global phenomenon. We are working hard at things. Bojidi, hold on for us.
One of the means by which many people got to know President Nanado, then Mr. Nanado, was his incessant and unabated participation and sometimes leading demonstrations in this country. Many young people who develop interest of getting engaged into politics got to know Mr. Nanado in politics, apart from his practice as a lawyer, but in the mainstream politics because he was a participant continuously in demonstration. Nobody said there was anything wrong with that. He was exercising the democratic and the constitutional right to participate inside demonstrations. So people are doing the same. I think that we should be happy that people are not taking arms to topple this government because they feel that the country is in a very mess situation created by the inept of those who are given the mandate to rule. People are exercising the right within the democratic space. So we should be happy and we should be commending those who are engaged in this demonstration. If it takes several demonstrations for this government to listen, I think that many Ghanaians will be more than willing to participate in same demonstrations.
How many haven't you had already? Has the government listened?
The fact that
I've lost count.
The fact that they refuse to listen doesn't mean that we should stop demonstrating. We will continue, engaging in this democratic space, using those tools that are given to us by the Constitution, by the democratic principles that we've all agreed to participate in collectively to drum home the need for government to do something. My understanding was that there was going to be a meeting either yesterday or today by the ministers, and they would demand that the president fire the Minister for Finance. I think that it is not...
How?
That's the information I picked.
From where?
Well, from my source. And
you're not a journalist. Tell us your source.
Why? Is it only journalists who have the right to give information? Why?
No, I didn't say that.
Yes, exactly. So I'm saying
we're insulated from telling you our sources.
Kwaku Baku used to sit on TV and say that he intercepted cabinet memos. Right. Mutala sit on TV3 and says that I have my source, that this is what they wanted to do.
You're a servant of the people.
Of course. And the point is that whether they would have the balls
share your source.
Whether they will have the balls to do that, or the president would have the courage to fire the person.
You think that Mr. Ferreira should go?
The issue is not just about the Minister for Finance. If fish is going to rot, it starts from the head. It's the president himself who is the lead of this mess we are experiencing. Look, I have been saying this year, we have a proverb that if the chief comes home with a weird haircut, what do you expect his subjects to come home with? They will come home with, is it Tapejo? Topijo. That is what they will come home with. The mess is created by the government because this government is completely visionless. And in fact, even if they have any vision, it's blur. But let me look at the issues my brother raised with regards to some of the demands or the reasons that occasioned the demonstration of the Arise Ghana. E-levy. Every single aspect in this country advises government against the E-levy. My brother is trying to celebrate E-levy. I mean, I can't imagine the insensitive nature of this government that they enjoy when the poor is suffering. How can you impose a tax regime that has more burden on the poor than the rich? All those who raise issues or questions about the E-levy were not against taxes. The NDC was not, and it has never been against taxes. All political parties that are socialist or leftist, if you like, and leaning, anchored their economic development and progress on the basis of taxation. Because it is through taxation that you redistribute wealth, such that you take more from the rich for the good of the poor, so that society can't live peacefully and happily. So the NDC was never against taxes. What the NDC was against, what Isse was against, what Imani was against, what some of you journalists were against, you were all against the burden, the effect of that taxes on the poor, that you cannot understand why a government that claimed to be so sensitive to the plight of the poor people of this country wanted to burden them the more. Now, I listened to the Minister for Communication, Honorable Eslausu, who argued rather funnily. She said that, oh, if you are able to do a memo of 100 Ghana cedis plus, you cannot claim to be poor. I know young ladies and young men who are working in Parliament, in our offices, who clean the offices, and I've said this on this program. They earn 400 Ghana cedis. Assuming such a young lady has a grandmother, or a young man has a grandmother who is sick, or the mother who is sick in the village, and they need about 200 Ghana cedis to buy medicine for the mother. That same young person goes to do a memo of 200 Ghana cedis to save the life of the parent. According to Osilausu's weird logic, such a person cannot claim to be poor. I mean, this is the psyche and the mindset of the people who unfortunately have the opportunity to rule.
But that's a stance that there's a threshold. If you transfer 100 Ghana cedis, it doesn't attract E-levy.
I have just told you that. How about those who earn 400 Ghana cedis?
Right.
But they have to do 200 Ghana cedis to save the life of their parents.
So 100 doesn't attract, the other 100 attracts.
I'm saying that the person who is doing 200 Ghana cedis, out of 400 Ghana cedis of his or her salary,
Right.
that person is doing a transaction of 200 Ghana cedis, would pay the E-levy.
Right.
According to Eselowusu's logic, such a person cannot claim to be poor. Meanwhile, when he or she pays the 200 Ghana cedis, what will be left will be 200 Ghana cedis. Transportation alone will
be less than 200.
Exactly. I have had a national service person who walked to me in Parliament and said that he was queried. And I wanted to know why. He said, look, I couldn't come to work for about 3 days. So I said, but if you are doing national service, why do you refuse to come to work? I said, Honorable, I simply could not come because we haven't been given our allowances. And I don't even have money to eat, let alone even take transportation. So that gentleman is being queried, and he may not get his national service allowance for that particular month. And it is not a fault of his. He simply could not come because the allowances were not paid. It tells you the level. Yet, you are burdening these people the more. Now, when we warn them, and when all the experts warn them about the consequences of implementing this E-levy, and that they were not going to achieve their target, we have been told that they've gotten 60 million. Meanwhile, they were thinking of getting 600 million, but they got 60 million. So completely, E-levy is a complete
Is it not because
disaster.
of what Mr. Otredaku says, that stalemate and bashing from people like you, who is not seeing the vision of government as wanting to widen the tax net, rake in more, because that's a better option than going to IMF?
You see, there is a proverb in the Ghana that in
English.
There is a particular village that has some fruits that if the person wanted that fruit, and suddenly they sent him to that village, so he'll be very happy. They are looking for people to blame. The NDC was not the only group of people who opposed the E-levy. Issa opposed the E-levy not just on the purposes of opposition, but they gave reasons. Several countries have attempted implementing this. To what end?
Kenya.
Now, my brother was talking about the town hall meetings they engaged in. It was a mockery of the people of this country. For example, you drove 32 vehicles to Koforidua. The engines of the vehicles were running for 4 hours.
You saw it?
Yes. This was reported, widely reported. People took videos. You took 32 Land Cruisers to Koforidua, town hall meeting. The engines of the vehicles were running for 4 hours to convince people to accept a tax regime that will exert more pressure on them. Look, the basic economic I did at the SSS, one of the most important aspects of instruments of taxation is that it should be progressive. How can you impose a tax regime that is regressive? It certainly doesn't make sense. So that town hall meeting was a mockery of the people.
Would you push for a support for E-levy if it's dropped further to say 1%?
We will accept,
because the media budget review is on.
We will not accept E-levy in any form or shape. I was against it. I voted against it.
Be patriotic.
Patriotism means you should exert and burden the people of this country.
We should all contribute to the national kitty.
The most unpatriotic nature is to exert more pressure on the poor than the rich. What is more unpatriotic is to worsen the precarious situation of the ordinary Ghanaian. For me, there is nothing patriotism about this. But let me also touch the issue about the parliamentary probe, which is raised.
Right.
And my brother was mentioning what the minister said. Yes, I was one of those who filed questions. The minister came to Parliament and insulted the people of this country the more.
How did he do that?
And I was happy when you raised the question about the 16 questions. My question was asked. The minister promised to appear before Parliament to answer the question. Several times he never came without any explanation. It took the threat, not just the speaker, but the entire House, including MPP members of Parliament. You remember on that day when the minister refused to come, the NDC position was that we were not going to entertain any business coming from the Ministry of Finance. Interestingly, Chairman Sabonsu was on the floor. He didn't say anything. The speaker then suspended sitting, went into conclave with the leadership of both NDC and MPP. When he came back and made that pronouncement, the majority leader didn't say anything. So it was in agreement of both, caucuses in Parliament that forced this minister. Now, when I asked him, he said, we're being hostile. You see, what we haven't been told in this country. My question was simple. How much have we generated as a state through the sales of what? Of power to our neighbors? They blame the NDC for doing what they describe as reckless investment in increasing our energy capacity and that we didn't need the excess capacity. Yet they celebrated the sales of energy to our neighbors. And the minister said that we're making over $140 million every year in the sales of energy to our neighbors. We have never been told this. We have never been told this, how much you are making. So I'm saying that when we asked him, he came. This statement was not written at the NDC headquarters. This statement was written by the Minister for Finance.
What does it say?
And I believe that my senior brother, Dr. Baumia, participated in writing this statement.
How?
Oh, he's the leader of the economic management team. And
this is from the finance ministry.
Oh, but it's economic issues.
But why are you drawing him into it?
Except that perhaps they just left him as a second fiddle. If we want to believe that he's the vice president and he's doing what he's supposed to do, there's no way he wouldn't have hands.
But your question was not to Dr. Baumia. Your question was to the finance minister.
The question was to the finance minister because we could not invite Dr. Baumia to come and answer questions in the matter of how the finances of this country is managed. The minister himself said they have gotten about 19.3 billion. Yet in giving us the details as to how much they spent, they spent only 12 billion. So the 7.3 billion, he couldn't tell us. The 7.3 billion, he couldn't tell us. In fact, even as he was seated, we wanted to know about the 7.3 billion. But you see, if it is your own money, and I want to ask my honorable friend, that would you spend, look at what he claimed he spent, the reopening of schools, and it's mind-boggling. Mind-boggling because what's the name? Nose masks and hand sanitizer.
Yeah, PPE.
PP. Just for the reopening of school, secondary school, so not even university. They spent 670 million. I mean, what did we do?
Do you have contrary figures?
Must I provide contrary figures?
But you are challenging what they're telling you.
Do you need Archimedes to rise from his tomb to tell you that even the entire continent of Africa, if they were going to reopen school, all the schools in sub-Saharan Africa, will they spend 670 million buying nose masks and hand sanitizers? I mean, tell me. Look, I went to the Tamale prisons. At the Tamale prisons, I was shocked because it falls within my constituency. The inmates didn't have nose masks. Even the prison officers didn't have nose masks. I had to do nose masks for them. How many secondary schools do we have in Ghana that you spend this amount of money? Let me tell you another thing that was shocking. And I think that this is one other thing that was missing was the COVID-19 trust fund.
Right.
The COVID-19 trust fund, they could not provide any evidence as to how they have generated the COVID-19 trust fund. It was completely missing in the document provided by the Minister for Finance. And I think that the COVID-19 trust fund, millions of Ghana cedis were deposited.
You mean her leadership's trust?
Yes,
yeah?
Yes. They couldn't provide us the COVID.
But why? What explanation did the finance minister give?
He couldn't find any explanation.
That
no, in fact, even Honorable Atuforsen wanted to know. He was sitting there like my 2-year-old daughter. Without having any. Why? When you ask a question and she doesn't have, she will just be looking at you and be smiling. That was precisely. And the only response the Minister for Finance could give to us was that I was being hostile. How could I? I was asking the questions and my colleagues asked questions for and on behalf of the people we represent. The minister has no any option than to respond to those questions we are asking. Look at what will shock you, Edoni.
Okay.
Another point that
we need to take a break.
The payment for 20,000 doses of Sputnik. We saw the fraudulent things that happened in this country. COVID didn't affect only Ghana. And I want to urge him and urge the MPP communicators. They should stop using the word free.
Why?
How can you tell us that you gave us water free, electricity free? In any case, not all Ghanaians enjoy the so-called electricity free. Some of us didn't, depending on your consumption of power.
Right.
Yet we are all being made to pay. We are all paying for something we didn't consume. Is this not extortionism? Is this not thievery? Now, as we sit today, we don't know whether we have finished paying for the so-called free water and electricity they have given us. There are now taxes for the payment of such. Now, don't you think that we deserve to know this is how much government spent on the free water and the electricity that we give to some selected citizens?
Right.
Now, we have imposed these taxes on you. You have paid this amount of money. If it is up to how much we enjoyed, then it will be absolutely immoral for this government to continuously taking that deduction. But let me also come grabbing of lands. As I talk to you,
I thought you were going to wrap up on the fuel, rather.
I will just end.
We have to go on.
I'll just end on that. The grabbing of land, my brother. You see, even in Tamale, as I talk to you today, there is a particular place at Sakasaka Quarters. The information I got yesterday was that they are selling those properties to their own party cronies.
Sakasaka.
Yes. You go to the Tamale Teaching Hospital, the West Hospital. They have sold the land. And when you raise this, you say, oh, people have also bought state land. When the state land is reversed to the chiefs, and the chiefs sell it to you, we don't have any problem. But you don't go about selling institutional lands. But Johnny, I want to conclude in this.
You were saying the other time also that the prisons or the quarters
if you go to the Tamale Teaching Hospital, the Tamale Police Station, that's where the prisons is located. They don't have accommodation there because it's just the prisons for the inmate and their offices. The accommodation is just about 800 meters away from the place. 19 prison officers stay in those accommodations. They have sold the land to people. Where do you expect the officers to go? You go to the Tamale Teaching, the West Hospital. The only land that is available for the expansion of the hospital have been sold to party cronies. So those who have bought lands that were reversed to the chiefs, and the chiefs sold it to them, we don't have any problem at all with that. Because if the state doesn't have any use for the lands and reverse it to the chiefs, they can do what they want to do. But our concern is on this. But let me conclude on this. The reason why this demonstration is justified, regardless the fuel prices, he goes about talking about Ukraine and others. After the war of Ukraine, they will blame the Tigray war in Ethiopia for the economic mess they have created. The reason why he is saying that they were elected to find solutions to these problems. The NDC under President Mahama, which was described as incompetent by the Minister for Finance, and I was happy when you played the video where they went and chopped,
Kenke party.
The Kenke they chopped was not the Kenke myself and you. Those Kenke with sardine and others.
Wow.
We chopped the Kenke with pepper, where your nose went. This wasn't the Kenke they chopped. They felt that the people of this country needed to get the NDC out. At that time, unemployment in this country was 6.8. Today, unemployment is 19% plus. At that time, the cedi to the dollar was 3.6. This morning, it's 8.3. At that time, the inflation was 15%. Today, it's 27% going. An MP told the minority leader that sometimes you buy an item, by the time you tend to talk to someone, and then you turn back, it will quadruple. A gallon of petrol was 14 cedis. Today, a liter of petrol is 14 cedis. A gallon is now the price of
10.99. It's not 14
diesel.
Yeah, diesel.
How much is diesel now?
Yes,
it's 14%. Yeah. Now you have debt to GDP was a little below 60%. And they said NDC President Mahama was so incompetent. It's over 83% today. Cost of living has skyrocketed. Everybody is struggling. Corruption. In fact, this president is corruption with King Kong. King Kong?
The Monkey King Kong.
He's stronger. President Nanado is corruption King Kong. Because that is what we experience.
Why do you describe the president in animal terms? Mother serpent of all corruption king. Why?
So why do you say why do we? It's Martina Midu who described President Nana Addo as the mother serpent of corruption. But I'm saying that King Kong, as a little boy growing up, when we were watching King Kong, nothing was stronger than King Kong. This president is corruption mu King Kong. Yeah, Brett, the mess that is created. Look at the corruption perception index. The worst of President Mahama.
Perception.
Sorry. Why?
It's a perception.
Under President Mahama, was it real? They said President Mahama had houses and hotels in Dubai without a scintilla of evidence that he had houses in Dubai. He had hotels in Dubai. Where are those hotels? Those same lies were made against President Rawlings. He had ABCD. Today, who doesn't know the kind of corruption we experience? And there will be a day I will talk about the airport. You know what happened when I sat on this program and I talked about the corruption at the duty free. Someone had the audacity, the courage to call me. I want to have a day to expose that person and the Ghana Airport Company. I will do that. If the person thinks that I could be intimidated and called me to intimidate me, Mutala cannot be intimidated.
You were talking about the president's daughter.
Yes. And she had the courage to call me on someone's phone to virtually threaten me. I am saying that the Ghana Airport Company engaged in fraud. The Ghana Airport Company today is indebted. Who doesn't know that this country is a mess?
Okay, give me a second, please.
Who doesn't know that this country is a mess? So you see, there is every justification.
But you're making a very, very strong allegation against the president's daughter.
Yeah, who
Valerie,
called and threatened me?
That she called and threatened
Yes.
you. Have you reported to the police if you were threatened?
Well, I didn't see the need to. Because if you call and you tell me that you sat there, in fact, virtually insulted me for almost 15 minutes. Almost 15 minutes. But Johnny, you are talking as if, were you not here? When the person called and insulted me for almost 15 minutes.
But you were on your phone. How could I have heard your
No, not on my
conversation?
phone. And insulted me for 15 minutes. I was listening. And a whole lot of reasons given. I have raised an issue about operations at the airport. And those issues are facts. The person told me that she pays $30 per square meter. Even Marina Mall. Will you pay $30 per square meter? Marina Mall. Will you pay $30 per square meter? She told me she pays $30 per square meter. Marina Mall, will you pay $30 per square meter? That when people were bidding and they paid $5,000 for bidding fee, the Ghana Airport Company wrote to them, paid back those monies to them. Over 500 companies would have generated over $2 million. And the Ghana Airport Company returned the monies. And some of them bid, minimum bidding was $556 per square meter. Someone is paying $30 per square meter. And that person had the courage to call a member of parliament who raises issues about their virtually trying to threaten you and telling you that you are insulted you for almost 15 minutes. I mean, that is the real state of this country. And that is where we are.
Okay, these are your words. We cannot independently verify it at this point. And but we'll see you after the break. If there's any information that we get regarding this, I'm sure we can toss it in. But Mutala certainly is not happy about it. We'll see you after the break. And security. Also, Comrade Murtala Mohammed is a former Deputy Minister for Trade. He is the MP for Tamale Central Constituency, and they are my guests here on the ticket of the NDC. Welcome back from the break, gentlemen. Thank you very much for your time. You finished.
I was on my last I'm not going to talk. I was on my last one on the issue of the fuel. If you take the
finish, I'll give you another 10. Let Palgrave take a bite on it. Sorry.
Thank you.
Yes.
You know, Honorable Murtala is a gentleman. And so I'm grateful that
he's trying to deceive you.
but really, I think that the latter part of his submission was on some conversations that he had with the president's daughter.
Right. Valerie, you mean?
Yes, Valerie. I will take a personal responsibility to have a conversation.
Right.
And bring to light some of the issues and make sure that we're able to smoke a peace pipe as soon as practicable.
What will be in that pipe?
No, he's asking. He wants to know what will be in that pipe.
Peace. But if you look at the opening of schools, let me put some data across for the Ghanaian people to see. You know, Johnny, in this country we have close to about 22,000 kindergartens in this country. In this country as well, we also have about 22,289 primary schools. We have about 14,767 junior high schools. And then we have in the excesses of close to about 900 plus senior high schools. Now, if government desires to open these schools, these are huge numbers. It is providing of sanitizers for all these schools and the students. I'm going to give you the student population.
Right.
All these schools and the students. It is the fumigation. Now, let's not forget.
The fumigation cost is different.
Let's not forget that the COVID-19 globally plunged a lot of lives. Close to about 6 million people.
Mind your mic.
Close to about 6 million people lost their lives through COVID-19 globally. Close to about 534 million plus people also had COVID-19. I mean, my honorable...
In Ghana, how many people died?
Oh, about 1,400.
Okay.
Honorable Mutala says that he had COVID twice.
Yes, I did.
Meaning that it is through the effective management of the COVID pandemic, for which reason he and I have an opportunity to be alive today. I had COVID once, but I was in the ICU for 30 days on oxygen. So for him who had it twice and for me who had it once, beyond the grace of God, for which we are grateful to God for, it's definitely as a result of the effective management of the entire COVID.
But you also realize that the plaudits we get or we got from the global front about the management of COVID-19 included the fact that we told the world that we gave people free water and free electricity. So if you, for example, are not connected to the national grid or you don't get water from Ghana Water Company, the free water was not part of, you were not part of it. If we told the world that we gave people things for free and now people are being made and we got funds for it, now people are being made to pay for it, you can't continue telling everybody that it is free because there's no free lunch anywhere, by the way.
To be honest and to be fair, even persons that are not on the national grid and persons that are not connected to the Ghana water, you would recall that it was stated that tankers would go and give them water.
Which didn't happen in many different fronts.
Well,
Belamundi buys water. She doesn't have pipe in her house. She buys water. There was no day a tanker went to a place.
I am aware.
We had that conversation.
Yes, but I am aware that tanker drivers from the Ghana Police Service, from the military, from the fire service, were deployed to various vulnerable communities. Various vulnerable communities, and they were given free water.
Do you know what happened in those places? The tanker drivers come and they ask you to pay for the fuel.
No.
Yes.
Think so. No.
Yes.
I don't think that.
Yes.
I don't think that.
Probably it happened.
No, I don't think so.
I'm a community person.
I know, but I don't think.
And
I
I'm
don't
saying
think,
that
I don't think that.
There are instances where
I don't think.
So there are instances where the tankers bring the water. The drivers ask you to pay for the fuel. They tell you the water is free, but you pay for the fuel.
No, I didn't record any of those incidents with my supervision of the works that
and then there are instances where, we're told that if you don't have water, and for example, somebody sells water in the community, you can go there and go and, fetch water or draw water for free. The owners of those places will tell you that they are actually paid for the water in the tanks already, so they can't give it to you for free. It happened.
Well, you see, I'm not holding brief, but I beg to differ. For a lot of the places where these tankers were deployed to the vulnerable communities, majority of them did not make any payment at all. You're also aware that we gave allowances, 50% of allowances to frontline workers to make sure that the work that they are doing really comes to bear. We provided transportation as well for them
for some time.
It was within the period of the lockdown, which we must put all of that in context. So when government says that we provided free water and we provided or subsidized electricity, government has not lied, because government did pay. Government did pay for those services so that the Ghanaian people do not pay for it.
But I'm paying for it now. See, that's where the difficulty is. If I buy this water on credit from your shop and I take it home without giving you anything for it, and then later I have to come and be remitting to you or be paying, it is no longer free because I'm paying for it. If you buy something on credit and you go and pay, it's not free, is it?
Well, it is free.
It is free.
It is free. And Johnny, you're also aware that we give soft loans.
Right.
To 304,001 small and medium scale enterprises. It was given from the NDSSI, now GEA.
I know people who applied for it, they only got text messages.
304,001 companies received soft loans to the tune of 600 million Ghana cedis. That happened.
I know people who applied and got text messages. Up to now, they still don't have money.
We have data of 304,001 who received soft loans of 600 million in total.
And they pay back.
That's the goal. The goal, it was a soft loan. So the goal is for you to pay back. But we gave a grace period. I mean, usually, if you recall, during the COVID pandemic, a lot of the measures that were given was a grace period of 1 year.
Right.
And even the interest rates were extremely very low.
1 year has elapsed, though.
Oh, yes. I mean, we can get back to GEA and ask Madam Yankee, I mean, what are the records stating in terms of how many people have paid and how much we've been able to recoup? You're also aware that in terms of some money.
Let's stay on COVID. So, you know, why are you spying his paper, Mutala?
Oh, it's the same documents that he has. In fact, I can even give him some.
So let's stay on the COVID a bit. I'm sure you heard the disturbing revelation by Felicia Tete that she got some COVID monies, first as a member of Parliament or PC for Sanerigu, and then also as regional executive. That obviously raises doubt and questions about the figures that Mr. Foriata brought, because people would then be asking, which of the lines was that included in? And Felicia Tete was emphatic that this happened all across the country. PC, regional executive, constituency executive, every layer of executives got the money. Well, how was that captured in this report?
To be honest, I have seen that video go around at various places, but I can't substantiate the authenticity of the statements that have been made, to be honest. For me, and for the records that is on the table, I'm aware that all disbursements that were made as it relates to COVID went through various institutions. I would name a few.
Has the government taken interest in verifying what Felicia Tete has said? Because it puts a dent on government's management of COVID-19 and the spend of taxpayers' money.
No, I don't think Felicia Tete's statement culminates into a bigger conversation of a dent being placed on government as it relates to COVID management. Not at all. It's an extremely isolated statement that was made.
Really?
Very much.
50,000 for PC, 50,000
very much. Very much.
100,000. That's a lot of
records?
money.
Where she should bring a bank statement of a transfer that was made. Where are the records?
You should be interested in verifying it.
I am concerned.
Or otherwise.
No, I am concerned about that statement. Okay? But there are no records to prove that such monies were given.
Okay.
There are no records to prove. In this country, if you want to see records, you go through. You were either given the money by cash, you were either transferred the money into your account, it was either sent to you by Momo. Where are the records?
Or she's just bluffing.
Well, I don't want to be able to even state that she's bluffing. All I can say is that her statement does not warrant in any way and does not in any way dent government effective management of the COVID-19 pandemic. And I stated that these disbursements were made through institutions that are verifiable. One of them is the Ghana Enterprise Agencies that received 600 million Ghana cedis that gave soft loans to 304,001 small and medium scale enterprises. One of them as well is the Ministry of Interior, Ministry of Defense, Ministry of National Security, Ministry of Justice and Attorney General for support of governance and security and issues arising due to the pandemic. I mean, all of these are really stated in here. And I do not think that we need to take the conversations further away from what the Minister for Finance has been able to share with us.
Will the Finance Minister go back to Parliament and give us some more detail regarding, for example, the trust fund, COVID-19 trust fund?
Absolutely. I believe very well that it's a right call. The Finance Minister will definitely come back to Parliament. Parliament and, the entire arms of government are important for the effective operationalization of government, from the executive to the legislature. You are aware that mid-year review is coming up, COVID-19 Trust Fund is not too further away from here. I would also go and pick up whatever data they have had, and I'll come back to your show and I'll show the good people of the country.
Yesterday we saw the tweet, my final question to you. Yesterday we saw the tweet from Mr. Ochredaku. Some say he usually comes to test the waters to see if, these are grounds that we must get into. We're talking about E-levy, the fact that we couldn't hit the target. And after 5 months, we've only done 10% of it. Suggestions that we could be going back to the IMF. Is government mulling the idea of going back to the IMF?
Well, at the time of all our conversations, it's been stated categorically that government is not, at that time, considering an IMF program. But Mr. Gabriel Ochredaku is a very well-respected lawyer and a citizen of the country and a leading member of the New Patriotic Party.
The Prime Minister.
I don't think so. Young people are watching. It's important that we educate.
We said the record straight.
We said the record straight.
In fact, the pseudo Prime Minister.
He is not.
Very, 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 very respected gentleman. Very good brains. I believe very well that his conversations are extremely in context. That a sizable part of the Ghanaian people did not participate in government innovative policy of expanding the tax bracket. Should it be that government wants to consider an IMF program?
Right.
I mean, if you follow the tweets of Mr. Asare Ochredaku, he stated that the other interventions that sometimes comes with an IMF program is not going to be sacrificed.
Right.
The government is not going to sacrifice free SHS. The government is not going to sacrifice other social interventions, even when we go to the IMF. And so when the government does go to the IMF, the parameters of the IMF program would be extremely
But you can't go
different.
begging and dictating at the same time.
I do not think so. No, you see, Ghana is a part of the International Monetary Fund since 1957.
Right.
And so when you come around the table, you're not begging. You understand? We need to...
But each time you get to the table,
we need
the
to
IMF has
juxtapose it very well.
conditionalities.
The conditionalities that the IMF will put in place, we would ensure, if so that we desire to go to the IMF, we would ensure that it does not affect jobs. We would ensure that it does not affect free SHS. We would ensure that it does not affect other social interventions that President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has put in place.
But
we would have our own tailor-made.
But will going back to
projects.
the IMF not be a shot in your foot? Because you called your predecessors incompetent for taking Ghana to the IMF. And you had a kinky party after taking us out of IMF.
You see, we called the predecessors incompetent for taking Ghana to the IMF as a result of the mismanagement of the economy. We came back and we successfully completed the IMF program. In 2017, there was no COVID. In 2018, there was no COVID. In 2019, we had COVID in the latter part of the year. In 2020, we still had COVID.
We recorded our first COVID case in March.
March
12th March,
the first week of March, 2020. So if you look at the COVID pandemic and even how well we innovatively had a homegrown solution of the E-levy, should Ghanaians have participated in a manner in which they should have? I'm not sure we'll be at the table today.
So the blame is on Ghanaians?
No, the blame is not on Ghanaians. Oh no, how can you say that? I mean, President Mahama is a very fine gentleman.
Allow him to take his
let me just finish.
Quickly.
So really, I mean, calling one incompetent and calling one competent, I think that is situational issues that would arise to the decisions that leaders will take.
In the end, you end up at IMF.
In the end, you end up in a program that does not take away the social interventions that you have effectively implemented in this country.
Hey, Mutala.
The NDC social interventions...
Should Ghana go back to the IMF?
Well, they need to avoid this needless pride and go back there. The NDC social interventions were not taken away when we went to the IMF. As a matter of fact, President Mahama demonstrated the willingness to sacrifice as a government and as a president, and all his ministers, including myself, we had to make do with a percentage of our salary for the purposes of providing, cheap compounds across the country. It is also important for me to remind your viewing public that when he tried to mention the number of schools we have in this country, how many of them were given the PPEs? Just few. Few. In fact, those who were given were those in the big cities, and even the big cities, not all of them were given. So to try to give us the total number of schools we have, total number of students, to justify that illegal 670 million Ghana cedis for the purposes of hand sanitizers and nose masks, for me, is ridiculous. Again, do you know how much they spent? He was making reference to a particular document. You know, they spent communication and quarantine.
You mean Ghana spent?
Yes, they spent. I mean, they managed this 647 million.
Communication.
Yes, and quarantine.
But you remember that the first set of
single person that came into this country.
Please, I'm saying
some people paid. But I'm saying the first 1,600 or so were paid for. I remember that.
So that cost that cost us 600.
All of them in hotels.
So that cost us 647 million. I mean, come on, let's get serious. And in fact, they even sent people to hotels that people were paying needlessly. Some challenged the reasons why people were sent to those hotels. Let me also make this point. The payment for the provisions of free water to all Ghanaians was about 456 million. The people of this country simply want to know, how much did you spend in providing us with the free water and the free electricity? How much have we paid so far in the taxes for the purposes of the provision of the so-called free water and free electricity? You are not telling us this. As we sit today, we will continue to pay these taxes. And when you talk about whether the NDC costs a mess, I think that sometimes you should pinch yourself and say that I'm on national television and people will be laughing at me. With all the indicators I give you, unemployment, the debt to GDP, inflation, everything, joblessness, go out there, you see what President Mohammed did with the 50 billion he borrowed. Okay. Tell me one single thing
we have to
done
go
with the over 200 billion you have borrowed.
Thank you very much. Well, Joseph Armstrong is joining us on the phone line now. He is at the Obra Sport where the Arise Ghana demonstrators are converging at this point. Armstrong, good morning and thank you very much for joining us. How are you doing? Joseph Armstrong, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Johnny.
Great. What can you share with us from the Obra Sport?
Johnny, so the doctor has already taken over the Obra Sport, chanting war songs already, all clad in red, and they are saying that today is today. They are going to go all out and perform their demands for the president to know that there is suffering in the country. I can count at least no less than 5 FDU vans positioned here with many more police officers positioned at vantage point. Currently, I spoke with some of the police commanders who told me the ITT and the regional commanders are coming here in the next few minutes. They are currently at the depot. They are briefing the forces that want to bring in here to ensure law and order so that nobody goes off the track. But for the demonstrators, they are numbering at least a little about 300 so far, and they are saying that their numbers is currently due to the court process that happened yesterday. So they are calling on their members to come join them because the demonstration is coming on live here at the transport.
I see. Have you seen any of the leaders there? Bernard Mona, Sami Jamefi, the guys from PNC. Have you seen any one of them around?
I've been moving from one place together to see any of the leadership of the demonstrators, but no, I've not started any of them yet. But we are sure they are also in a meeting somewhere trying to strategize their movement. So they will be able to control the crowd so that they will not end up being in trouble after the demonstration is done.
Any placards that you have cited? What's the reading on those placards?
Sorry?
Have you seen any placards and what does this read?
Yeah, I've seen a couple of placards. I've moved away because of the noise. Let me get very close to them and see some of their demands. If you don't mind, let me just engage few of them here right now, and then let's talk to them and then find out what exactly the placards are a little bit tough for me. Because you're on to the street. That's what. So we are here, even though we know there's a past ruling that definitely, I'm actually here because irrespective of the court decision, Ghana belongs to Ghanaians. So we have the right to amend the laws of this country. So we are defying the court order to be here and vent our claim to the government. Inflation is now 27.7%. Unemployment rate is 13.3%. The rate at which prices of goods are exploding. It's abnormal. This money you are selling us on. Very well. Johnny, one of the demonstrators here, many of them are gathered here trying to get very close to where the placards are and reach you for you, but it appears they are moving from one place to the other. But as I speak to you now, Johnny, if you see how the police have been positioned here, that tells you they are in for business, and definitely, I'm sure the demonstration will go through the day without any.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much, Joseph Armstrong. Gold, look, but that's our man there at the Kwame Nkrumah Park, as I like to call it. We used to call it Brasport. Now it's been renamed Kwame Nkrumah Park. It's a water park, so it's important that we get it right. Well, happy 47th birthday to the Honorable Kwame Jolly Gakpe. He's the MP for the Keta constituency. Today is your birthday. Happy birthday to you. Also, a happy birthday to Vincent Mute. Is a student of the UEW. An amazing day to you. A happy birthday also to you if it's your birthday as well. And a belated one to the Reverend Canon Victor Leon Adogmai Akwe. You are 60 years today. Oliver, please put up the picture quickly. Let's see the Venerable the Canon. Let's see him quickly as he marks his 60th birthday today. And I'll tell you something special as we wrap up. So the Reverend Canon. Oliver, can you find a photo? Or the photo is missing? Well, today on Business as well, we'll be telling you how precarious the economic situation is and why people are asking government to go back to the IMF. We'll also tell you what interest rates the government is paying on a 91-day T-bills has increased by more than 100%. We'll give you some analysis on this. And we'll also give you the latest on the armored bullion vans a year on after the Adedengbo shooting incident, the robbery, and the promises that were made as well. Happy birthday to Yao Sechafari. This is from Blobi Makmatilawa and from all the team at Right Multimedia. It's your birthday. Happy birthday, of course. And if it's yours as well, great. Thank you very much. Now, I told you earlier that this segment is brought to you by an amazing product and a company. I have a question for you. What's exciting, delicious, creamy, and rich with vitamins, minerals, and has a goodness of cocoa all the same time? Well, you can guess. You can't. Well, I tell you, it's the brand new Niche chocolate drink made with Ghana's finest wholesome cocoa. Niche chocolate is full of delicious goodness. Niche chocolate comes in 250 ml bottles and 180 ml Tetra packs so that you can enjoy it big or small. It's great for all members of the family. No discrimination there. Visit a shop near you to get yours, and I know you would love it. Niche Taste of Ghana. We'll see you after the break. There's sports, entertainment, and some more conversation on the Arise Ghana demonstration. We'll see you after the break.